Hey everybody, it's Indigon, and welcome back to another $50 hunt. Back with the double stack boxes again. I'll go ahead and get into one of these real quick. I have not checked it for any enders or anything like that. I don't know that it's circulated, but we do have a circulated box, so go ahead and get in these. Be looking for silver, errors, varieties, NIFCs, you name it. Be looking for it. And I will bring you in after the first 10 rolls, or if we have a find in those, I'll bring you in before. Well, the whole first 10 rolls thing was wildly optimistic, but roll number 28 is finally going to give us a find. A 2003 Philadelphia NIFC. It's in decent circulated shape. It does have a scratch, unfortunately, on the obverse, right from the L to the B in Liberty there. But we do have our first find, and we've got, at this point, we've got 20 rolls left. Bring you in on the next find or at the end of the box. Rolls 31 through 40 are going to give us three more NIFCs. A 2007 Denver, and then a 2007 Denver Satin Strike. And again, I've been finding these fairly commonly here in my hunts, so you can kind of see the difference. Just see the regular business strike 2007D, and then the satin strike. And then we had a 2020 Philadelphia, and this one's in pretty good shape. Does have a big hit on the neck, but overall pretty good shape. I will hold on to that one. So 3 more NIFCs, total of 4. 10 more rolls to go, and I'll bring you in at the end of the first box. All right, that is it for the first box, and we ended up with 2 more finds in those last 10 rolls. Start off with this one. We had a 2008 Philadelphia NIFC. Pretty nice shape. So that's NIFC number 5 for the box. And then another Counterstruck 1983P 2023 Counterstrike, and it's another ABD and SLS there. So this is the third one of these I've found. I found a nickel, and then I believe another $50. And I do enjoy finding these. I want to know the story behind them. If anybody knows the story behind this, let me know, because I've got 3 of these now, or two halves and a nickel. So I would like to know, but for right now, I've got 5 NIFCs and a Counter-Strike for box number 1. Let me zoom back out just a little bit, and I'll go ahead and get into box number 2 and bring you back in when we have our first find. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up box number 2 and see if we have anything in here. Charlie's not a fan already. It's not a good sign. Alright, let's see. Well, they're circulated, but I'm not seeing anything crazy jumping out at me. So I'll go ahead and get into them just like you did last time, 10 rolls at the time, and I'll bring you in on the first find or at the end of the box. Alright, so rolls number 14 and 15 are going to give us a couple finds. The first one from 14, you see a little bit of doubling down here on the bottom of this banner and in here. And then there's also doubling over here on these stars. Right, let me turn that because I think they show up a little bit better upside down. Yeah, so check out these 3 stars and the doubling underneath. I'm not 100% sure which one this is. Again, if I didn't say it, it's a 23 Philadelphia. Yes, it has the Ring of Death, but it's a DDR. So I will put the listing for this one up here if I can find it. And for reference, this is a regular 20. Well, I say that. I think this one's actually got a little tiny bit right there as well. But it doesn't have anything in the stars, so they don't have that extra thickness underneath them. So that is another very minor 23. And then I had this 21 Philly. And I was looking at Trust, and I'm seeing a little bit of notching. So I see some on the T right here, the R. The U is thicker on here. It looks kind of shifted. The S looks almost tripled, so you got 2 notches there. Same up here and here. And then we get over to God, so you got a little bit of a notch right there. Not much. But check out N. You got tripling right here. So 1, 2 on that. You got some splits there. This one's pretty impressive, honestly. I didn't know this one existed. And like I said, it's definitely thicker at the top than the bottom. I don't think this one is listed. If it is, I will throw the attribution up. But I believe we have a triple die obverse 21 Philly. So I will hold on to that. I don't think there was anything on the reverse, but that's pretty cool. Like I said, I think it's unattributed, but a possible TDO to go along with the 2 minor DDRs. Bring in on the next find. Rolls 21 through 30 gave us one more find, a 2009 Philadelphia NIFC, first one of the box. So 3 DDO or 3 double dies, 1 DDO or TDO, 2 DDRs, and then an NIFC, and 20 rolls left. Bring in on the next one. Rolls 31 through 40 are going to give us 2 more finds, a 2009 Philadelphia NIFC, probably a little bit nicer than the last one, but they're both pretty nice. And then a 1971 Denver, which I believe is a DDO. So check out the top of that U there, and then the bottom of this R. This looks like some pretty obvious splitting. So some on the S, see a split down here in the S there. Not really seeing anything on the T. Maybe a little bit in the top of the W here. So right there, and then right there you see a split. Come over to God, and it looks like there's some splitting right up here, although not nearly as much as on Trust. And I do believe there is a little bit of split right there. There's a bunch of double dies on the 71s. I think there's some right here in this part of the one. Not really seeing anything on that one. I think, yep, right. So there is some splitting right there on the top of that I in Liberty. Not seeing anything in the B. I think we got a little bit right here on the E. Not really seeing anything on the R. I don't think that's a die gouge or anything. I think it's just part of the hair detail. And then the T looks pretty normal. And so does the Y. So most of the splitting is in Trust, but you can see that's obvious 100% splits right there. I have not stopped. I've got 10 rolls left. I'm not going to stop and figure out which one this is. If I do after the hunt, I'll put it right up here. But do have a DDO on a 71 Denver. Bring in on the next find. Okay, so the last 10 rolls gave us 3 more finds. We had a Hold 1974, a 2011 Philadelphia NIFC, and a 1984 DDO. So really want to focus on this Y right there. See how kind of fat this top portion of the Y is? And you can see the splitting right there, that second line there. This is a normal one, and I will kind of line them up. So you see the bottom one, this is the splits, and this is what they look like normally. This one does have a little bit of roller damage, but they're, look at the R and then the E and then the B here. And then this is the variety. So you see how closed this top portion of the E is. The R is extra thick down here. The B is very filled. So you get this doubling here and here. The I really shows when you hold it sideways. Got that split right there. And then the L, if I turn it just right, you can see a split right down here through the L. And then, of course, everything else is just really fat. Extra thickness there a little bit. Let's see, the 84s have really thick letters anyway, but if I can turn it just right, let's see. There's a split on the top of that U, and it's very hard to see. There it is. So right there is a little tiny split on that U. But this one's much nicer than the one I found. I found one of these before. This one is much nicer. I am very glad to have that one. But I will add that to the 71D DDO. Oh, and if I didn't mention it, and I don't think I did, this is DDO number 1. It's the only one listed for an 84P. There it is on Variety Vista, so if you want to check out what that's supposed to look like. But really, you're looking in Liberty, and especially the B, the R, the T, and the Y, or the big, well, the I as well. But pretty much all the letters in Liberty, but there are a few other things to look for. The 71D DDO, the 223 minor DDRs, and then the really nice, possibly TDO 21P. And I'll probably send that one off, see if I can get that attributed if it's not already. And then as far as NIFCs, we ended up with 3 in that second box. Two 2009 Phillies and the 2011. Had the one Hold 74. 3 nicer dates, the 96P, and then a couple bicentennials. And then the finds from the first box, which again I will go over. We had the miscellaneous counter stamp. The NIFCs, the 2003, the 7 Satin Strike, the 8, and the 20. And also had a stack of nicer bicentennials and a few to check against my album. So no silver, no cherry pickers guide varieties. Did have some nice varieties in this second box, however. So I will check into those. And not a bad hunt. Not great, you know, okay. But definitely glad to find that 84. The 22 is very cool. The satin strike is nice. Always love finding the counter strikes. And other than that, I'll just have to check and see if I have any book upgraders. But if you made it this long, thank you for watching. Please consider hitting that thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks.